Similarly, the sales would have its DNA as well. And there are 5, not 19,000, there are 5 key genes, if you will, or components of a sales DNA. And the first, at the heart of it, is called strategy. Okay? And strategy deals with your objectives, your targets, your goals. All right? What would you like to achieve for your sales or whatever, or your business? And your approaches. How do you actually, what are your approaches to achieve all these objectives? All right? And by the way, guys, if you can just probably write or whatever, if you didn't bring any writing materials, there are some paper and pens that we have prepared for you on the table, so just write if you have to. And don't bother about all those formulas that I'm going to give you later and all this, right? No need to take picture, or because I'll be giving you all those later, right? Okay, so anyway, it also deals with the objectives, the approaches, and strategy also would mean your differentiation. How do you differentiate between one from the other, or your competitors or whatever? And then of course your positioning, followed by probably your marketing and stuff like that. So this is, of course there are a lot more, but these are the key ones. Alright, so the first thing in your sales DNA or your sales system is actually strategy, which is at the very heart of it. The next is actually your processes. Now, in order for you to execute your strategies, you obviously need certain processes in order to make it happen, right? How do you, okay, so processes deals with things like your lead generation. How do you generate leads or referrals? What are your client selection criteria? What are your procedures? What are your processes? Okay, your value offer, your delivery processes, as well as probably your support processes. Okay. Good so far? All right. Then, guys, this is big. If I lose you now, I'm going to lose you forever. This is the most important thing that you have to understand. Now, this is a paradox, right? But the best-selling process does not sell. It enables clients to buy. Everybody got that? So as a paradox, your job as a salesperson or a business person is not to sell. The job of a salesperson is not to sell. The job of a great salesperson is to enable the clients to buy. Does that make sense? Who likes to be sold to? The answer is nobody. But people love to buy. Make sense, right? So this, if you do not understand this, your entire sales system is heading the wrong direction. Okay? And I'll prove to you why later. The next thing is metrics. Now, as the saying goes, things that you do not measure, you cannot manage. If you don't even know whether you're running in the right direction, or you don't even measure stuff, how would you know whether you're doing it right or doing it wrong? How are you going to, improve and stuff like that? How are you going to fix problems that you cannot see? Make sense? So you have to measure. And the measurements are basically dealing with your KPIs, your key performance indexes or indicators. Yeah? Your pipeline, do you measure what are your pipeline for this month or this year or whatever? What are your activities? Are you doing too much or too little or whatever, right? How much is your conversion? Out of 100 leads, how many do you convert and stuff like that? Your productivity, do you actually measure your productivity? Okay, these are very important stuff. And the next thing in the equation is actually the skills. Now, you may have the best strategies, you may have the best processes, you may have the basic skills to execute all this. It's not going to work either, right? So you absolutely have to have skills. And this is why you are here today. I hope to be able to deliver some skills to you if you actually pay attention. And skills deals with your product knowledge, your prospecting skills, your negotiation skills, your relationship management, your administering skills, and whatnot and whatnot. And the fifth element is actually your tools. Okay, again, what are tools? Tools are force multipliers as well, right? Skills is also one force multiplier. So what are the tools that we are talking about? Your collateral material, your marketing materials, your website, your brochures, your whatever, all your collateral materials, right? And your samples, sometimes some companies or organizations, they may need to give some samples and whatnot. Your scripts even, right? Some sales organizations, they have a proper professional skill script and all this. Your CRM, anybody knows what CRM is or do not know what CRM is? It actually stands for Customer Relationship Management Systems, right? You know that those companies who adopt a CRM system has a 32% increase in their sales and nothing less than 45% increase in their revenue. There's a difference between sales and revenue. Sales meaning how many transactions you did, right? So those people who uses any form of CRM, okay, it could be Salesforce, it could be SalesShaper, okay, it increases the sales by 32% at a minimum, and it increases revenue by 45% per user. So in case you have 5 users, you do the math. And this is not my facts. Facts. Go into the internet, check it out. These are all research done from very reputable, big, huge companies. These are all verified. Whatever facts and figures I give, I won't dare to stand on stage today and just simply whack one number for you. Obviously, these are all very verifiable facts. You can go and check it out yourself, right? So, I've covered all these 5 elements, but all these 5 elements must work symbiotically with each other. One cannot do without the other. Remember I said the human DNA, what happens if you have a mutation in one of your genes? It will cause complications and disease and whatnot. Based on the same principle, if you have a delinquent gene, which is, take for example, if your processes is not right, you're going to have a problem, right? If your skills, you don't have the skills, how are you going to execute? If you do not measure, how are you going to? Worse, if you do not even have a strategy, you'll be like a headless chicken doing God knows what, right? Okay? And then, obviously, you have your tools. Otherwise, you will just be infinitely in the loop. But here's a very, very important word of caution. Your sales system is only as strong as its weakest link. I'm sure I don't really have to explain this, right? So your entire system is only as strong as its weakest link. So what do you need to do? Go back, identify your weakest link, improve it. Make sense? Okay. So are we good with this big picture thing? Alright. The next big picture I want to share with you is the traditional marketing funnel doesn't work anymore. Digest it a little bit, right? Now, why I call it a marketing funnel when we are in a sales masterclass? Because maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, sales and marketing, there may be a very clear distinction between these two. But in this day and age, in today's environment, there is a and marketing already. Okay? You cannot differentiate it anymore, because if you do, your processes are a bit chacat already. Okay? So there is actually a convergence. But if you notice, it's the same. Marketplace, right? The tab. In sales is basically your lead generation, right? Awareness and attention. What is your presentation, right? Your presentation, your proposals, your whatever. Evaluation and validation would mean your relationship building, your quotation, this is basically the decision making part of the clients, right? And then adoption would be the sale part lah. the transaction, which the lead turns into a transaction, and then the loyalty, which is the whatever. Okay, so basically it's the same thing. What do you notice about this funnel?
It's leaking.
That's right. If you notice, there are a lot of leaks, right? So at every point of the funnel is leaking. Even your bucket is leaking. So what happens when you push more water into a leaky bucket? It floods the room, right? So what must you do? You must first plug the leaks. But here's a trivia for you. Some people like trivia. Do you know when was the sales funnel invented? Oh, of course you don't know lah. It was invented in 1898 by a trader, American trader. And 200 over years later, today, it is still being used. Now I can go on and on about why it doesn't work, but I'm not going to do that. I'll share with you in a while. But one obvious reason I will tell you. The funnel looks like this, right? This is a white top, right? A white top. So what is the problem here? When you have a white top, and then you funnel and funnel and funnel and funnel, what happens is that you receive a lot of leads. You generate a lot of leads. You spend a lot of advertising dollars. You spend a lot of money. Your salespeople going out there prospecting, blah, 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 blah. And you generate tons and tons of leads, right? And then you funnel it. So assuming you have 1,000 leads a month in your organization, and then you funnel and funnel and funnel, and finally you convert to what happened to the 998? Such a squander of effort, right? Such a waste, because you just literally threw away all your marketing budget, all your money, all your whatever, because you don't nurture them. Okay, and another thing you need to understand is that in 1898, when you receive, in case you receive, if you live in 1898, if you receive a direct mail, would you read it? Probably you would, right? Because you hardly receive anything. Today, you receive a direct mail and see, you absolutely won't even look at it, right? So what does that tell you? It tells you that, to me, the white top is actually what I call the spray and pray. You know? You take a machine gun and spray bullet and pray like hell that it hits. You know? So don't you think you're wasting a lot of bullets? And bullets are expensive, you know? Right? So you need to actually transform or evolve yourself from this mode of selling using this funnel. All right? Now, let me get to that. So I just want to indulge me a little bit. In the study of evolution, what age are we in now? Does anybody know? By age, I don't mean your age lah. I mean what age are we living in? Remember back in those millions and millions of years ago, we were living in the Ice Age together with the saber-toothed tiger and the woolly mammoth and whatnot. So that was the Ice Age. Then we evolved to what we call the Stone Age, right? So during the Stone Age is actually an overlap of the Ice Age. After the Stone Age, what was it? Anybody knows?
Bronze.
It's called the Bronze Age. Oh, who answered that? Wow, I'm very glad. Oh, you heard me saying this before. So we went into Bronze Age for a couple of thousand of years. Then we evolved to what we call the Iron Age. And in each age, like for example the Stone Age tools, right? Bronze, iron, and so forth and so forth. After that, we went into what we call the Industrial Revolution, right? The Industrial Age. And it started in probably the 1800s in England, in the textile industry. And then it went on to the paper making industry, where people use mechanized machineries and all this to make things better and better and better, right? So we were living in the industrial age. After the industrial age, what age were we in? Did we evolve to? You all got read encyclopedia one or you? Electronic. Oh, that one you way too. It's called the information age. Okay, information age. What does information age people do in information age? Why is it called the information age? Because now, because of advancement of technology, we were able to disseminate a lot of information and we are able to receive a lot of information, right? Finally, during the information age, we started out with telex and whatnot. Then what happens is that we and whatnot, because earlier it was analog, right? I still remember back in those days, like 20 odd years ago, when I had this exporting business. No such thing as emails, no such thing as handphones, internet. No, this wasn't even invented yet. So we were using telex, short of sending pigeons. Anybody still remember what telexes are? Okay, faxes is a luxury because it's so expensive to actually send faxes overseas. Phone calls are so expensive, so we were using telex. You know, sometimes we truly use Morse code. You know lah. So anyway, we were using telex. So these are all information age. How many of you still live in the information age? It is a trick question, by the way. So the obvious answer is no, we are not, right? But guess what? Most people are still living in the information age. And as I've said, I've earned the authority to say this because I've seen until I don't want to see it really. What do you do in your during information? People, tell me, your website, what does it do? What does your website do? It disseminates information, right? What does your brochure do? Disseminates information, right? What else do you do? Tweet. What else do you do? PR? What? You name it lah. What does it do? And what is your purpose?